Hello, hello, hello. Talking about the second part of Get Back, the documentary detailing the Beatles recording sessions for Let It Be. And for those who may have come in at this point instead of the beginning, it's a documentary put together by Peter Jackson from 60 hours of film footage and 150 hours of audio clips reconstructed and told in a chronological order, so it's very different from the original Let It Be film. This is, well, it's the simplest way of telling the story. My previous criticism is that, yeah, there's a lot of it. And the second part is nearly 3 hours long. And yeah, I sat there, and it's like being in the room with them. It's a very intimate portrayal. I was thinking if it was a trilogy of films like Star Wars, they got the order all wrong. The first part was Empire Strikes Back. The second part is obviously Return of the Jedi, and the third part is the glorious triumph of Star Wars. So it shows you how life doesn't really happen like the movies, because as we know, the Empire Strikes Back moment in the first part was George leaving. That was Luke losing his hand, wasn't it? And I know it's not a very good analogy, but it just got me thinking about movie trilogies. And so we begin with the band in a bad place. George wasn't coming back, even though they've spoken to him. They can reconvene at Twickenham Studios, and Peter Sellers wanders in. And that was really interesting because you could see Peter Sellers just didn't know how to um, how to react around people. He was again. I think even Lennon mentioned something. She will sit in uncomfortable silence. She will be uncomfortable because it was just really odd. He really was like an interloper. He couldn't. He yeah. This is one of the criticisms of Sellers and his personality was he was pretty a flat individual. And again, you look at him and go, he really he had no way of engaging with them, and then he shuffled out again. And Lennon, again, the genius of Lennon, he was incredibly smart. Starts reciting lyrics from one of the Beatles songs in the style of Sellers, because Sellers had done that as part of a sketch show. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He does one of the Beatles songs in the style of Shakespeare as a soliloquy, and Lennon very pointedly does a very similar thing with, and it's like and that was a jab. That was a jab at Sellers. His presence. Again, I don't think it was necessarily vindictive or malevolent. I think it was just a little thrust at the interloper who shuffled in and shuffled out. That I found interesting. That dynamic was interesting. So yeah, the band are at a loss of what to do. Because they don't have a band. Time passes, much discussion, of what to do. Still not sure how to end this thing, but they decide to reconvene at Happily Quarters, where they're building a studio in the basement. And there's various technical issues there, but more discussion with George at his mansion, and he comes back because and immediately when he returns, um, the atmosphere is very different, and it's brilliant. You see the dynamic change, and again, one another interesting things at this is a secret conversation recorded between Lennon and McCartney in the canteen. Again, they didn't want any cameras there, but they'd placed a microphone, you know, in the bowl of fruit or something, and they record the exchange. And again, McCartney's saying, "Look, this is your band, John. You're the leader." And in Lennon says, "Yeah, I know. I should really do more." And they're discussing George and how to handle him, and in friendly terms. It's they know, that they've got to handle him, like they handle everyone else. Meanwhile, you see Ringo. Ringo just knows his place. He knows it, and he doesn't say anything. He's just there, just being Ringo. You know, comic relief when needs to be. Holding everything together. And again, he's the one. He's the one that's just got it together. But yeah, the dynamic shifts from McCartney pushing forward to you see Lennon becoming more comfortable and taking control of the band again and being, a lot happier. There's a lot more humour, um, and more playful. And again, there's the music. There's just so many songs. And Billy Preston turns up and adds a whole new dimension. He just fits in, and his amazing keyboard playing just percolates underneath the music. And yeah, it's, I'm going to keep this one short because I think the first one I did went on a bit, but yeah, it was fascinating. Again, a bit long. You gotta like the Beatles. Even I was like, I found it a bit long. But you're there, aren't you? You're an interloper. That's the really good thing about this is it's a documentary about a documentary. It's a puzzle within a puzzle, and you're an interloper just watching. And again, a lot of the puzzles are, not a lot of puzzles are not necessarily there to be solved; they're there to be observed. The workings of it, and you see the workings of this puzzle being figured out, and it's a beautiful scene. It's like the again, it's like, well, if it was Return of the Jedi, it's where they blow up the Death Star too. But there's a moment where I think it's the director, and I don't know if it was Glyn Johns and the director go to Paul McCartney, and you see Paul McCartney's face. There's no audio, but some captions come up saying they're explaining to Paul that they've got an idea for the venue, and about doing it on the roof. And you see Paul, and all of a sudden his face goes, and you just see his face light up as this idea is like, yeah, that's the idea. And that moment alone is just fantastic because he's the one who's like, yeah, I don't want to play, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. But he knows in his mind there is a solution, but he can't find it. He can't find it. And I think the others just want, Paul to be happy, because they're all making trade-offs, and Paul's like, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, and Ringo just wants to play, and George has got a few reservations, and John's like, yeah, well, but this moment where the realisation of, yeah, the roof, we'll do it on the roof, and so they climb up on the roof and survey, and I thought it was brilliant. That was just perfecto. And so, yeah, we get to the end, and it's just, yeah, we've got so many days left. Was it they're going on the roof on Wednesday, and it's like 4 days to get the equipment up there and do that. And yeah, I've got the third part to get to. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant, it's brilliant. It's a simple idea. Peter Jackson is money for old rope because all he's done is just lay this stuff out. There's nothing. Let's just show what happened, and that's the key to a good documentary. But again, there's an awful lot of this that could be excised, and you could make it a really tight, nice little documentary. I think again, maybe it's like like when he turned Hobbit into trilogy, and really it's maybe one, maybe possibly a two-parter, and I didn't get Tom Bombadil. I mean, crikey. In this, he's done it again. So, well, I made Lord of the Rings trilogy. That was a success. I made The Hobbit a trilogy. That was a success. Financially, maybe, but not necessarily creatively. And I think here he's become, enamoured with the idea of a trilogy. And really, I think there was probably a good, 4-hour two-parter in it if they edited it down. Because there is, I mean, it's great to have all this stuff, but for the the casual viewer, it must be a hard slog. People just like falling off the sofa in a catatonic state. Not all of us are like, oh look, look what they're doing. Because it's the musical creation bit that keeps it going. But yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to watch. But I can understand why some people might drop off, and some reviewers of this might go, I think it only got a 3-star review in the Guardian. They said it was, impenetrable. It's like, oh, I can understand that. I can understand that. But if you're a fan of the Beatles, or you're a fan of music, and you want to see how they arrange things, how they bounce ideas off of each other, it's just, you know, Paul McCartney's working out piano parts where everyone else is doing their thing, and he's just burbling away. You know. There'll never be another Beatles. That's the thing. That's what you learn from this. There was a unique combination of personalities, you know, and yeah, fantastic stuff to watch. And we've got part 3 where they blow up the Death Star again, if it was Star Wars. But well, yeah, I think we know how it all ends. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a shame. Really, it's not a happy ending. But maybe there is. Maybe if he cuts it off on the roof, we don't talk about splitting up. We can imagine that the Beatles are still up there, still playing. But anyway, thanks for watching. I've been talking about part 2 of Get Back, the documentary from Peter Jackson detailing the Beatles and the Let It Be sessions. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you haven't, consult your priest, and we'll do this all again soon. There's only one more thing left to say, and that is ta!